episode of the NBA Lab Preview Series presented by OTGBasketball.com. Follow OTG on Twitter at OTGBasketball. Also follow OTG on Instagram at off_the_glass_. And I'm your host, Nick Fay. With me today, and as always, Harris Wichard. How you doing, Harris?
Doing great, Nick. We're really getting down to the top of the food chain in the NBA. Now we're looking at our fourth-ranked team today, the Los Angeles Clippers.
So our writers ranked the Clippers number 4. I think this is a pretty fair ranking. This team's been very good for a few years now. They just can't get over the hump in the playoffs. It's either injuries or just coming up short, blowing a 3-1 series lead. I think I'm pretty good with this number 4 rankings. I'd probably have them as my third best team in the West.
This is a team that, if they don't get hurt last year, we're going to beat the Blazers and then challenge the Warriors in the second round. This is a team that had the Warriors number. In 2014, they beat them in the first round before the Warriors became what we know them of. That was after the Warriors coming out party in 2013. So this is a Clippers team that played the Warriors tough, had them up 15 remember when they were during that winning streak, the Warriors were like 12-0. And they had a game at halftime where the Warriors were down by like 12 or 13. I remember texting my friend, like, yo, the Warriors are coming back. I just have a feeling that they're not letting this thing go. And that was when I knew that the Warriors were for real. But this is a Clippers team that's won 56, 57, 56, and 53 games in the last 4 years. So although I don't like them very much because of how they carry themselves, and they have like Griffin and Paul and Jordan who think they're like a real big three, and I don't believe that they're one of the elite big threes in the league because of their poor shooting. However, with all that being said, they're a threat. They're a real threat to finally make the conference finals, because now that the Spurs lost some of that, what I would call Big Jesus and Tim Duncan, the big fundamental, they have some of that. There's open. I mean, it's open. It's open for, last year we saw the Western Conference Final be the Warriors and Thunder, but this is open, man. These second, just like the East is. We understand the league is getting down to the nitty gritty to talk about the Warriors and Cavs. To say who's going to play in the conference finals, we don't know that for sure. I just think we understand that the Warriors and Cavs will both be there. We just don't know who's going to play them.
Yeah, especially, I mean, like you said, they lost Tim Duncan, the Spurs, and that's going to have an impact regardless. Even though he wasn't as productive on the court, he's still a leader in that locker room. Obviously, they still have Ginobili and Parker and Kawhi and Aldridge are taking steps. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Clippers were able to land that second seed and land themselves in the conference finals. And anything can happen in the conference finals. Obviously, the Warriors would be a favorite, but getting there for this team would be huge. And it would be huge for Chris Paul.
Never done it in his career.
Yeah, and that's been the biggest, negative mark on him. One of our writers actually wrote an article comparing Chris Paul to, the greatest point guards of all time. And, he matches up really well stat-wise, except when you look at postseason, because he just hasn't gotten to the NBA Finals and got that championship.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting because – sorry, Harris.
No, there you go.
He's a free agent this upcoming offseason. So if the Clippers, don't do anything in the postseason, he could definitely be ring hunting this next summer.
Yeah, and that could be dangerous because what happens if they throw him on a team for instance, maybe Boston? That would be crazy. But just if you he's a guy that makes everybody better. He's made
the Knicks will be going after him for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And you just look at if you look at everything around him. He made Tyson Chandler look great. He's made DeAndre Jordan look great. I mean, without Chris Paul, DeAndre Jordan is not DeAndre Jordan that we know. And without Chris Paul, Blake Griffin is just the high fly. I mean, before Chris Paul got there, they won 32 games. The first year Chris Paul got there, they won 40. And that was a 66-game season. Chris Paul is a winner. He just hasn't been able to win in the playoffs. And this team is not really built, to me, to win a championship. They need another front court scorer. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, they need consistency out of that small forward spot. They have Chris Paul, JJ Redick, Blake Griffin, DeAndre Jordan. They all complement each other well. But the small forward spot's kind of been a revolving door. Mm-hmm. And the problem is they're capped out. So they can't really get anybody to fill that small forward spot that's really talented. So unless they can really finagle some things and work some out, they're going to be stuck with this roster and just going to have to overachieve to do anything really.
Well, think about this for a second also. You're running into two all-time great teams In 13 and 14, the Spurs were an all-time great team. And in 15 and 16, the Warriors were an all-time great team. Look at the Utah Jazz. John Stockton and Karl Malone had great careers. And I'm not comparing Paul and Griffin to Stockton and Malone, but you might be able to make that comparison. Griffin's numbers are fantastic, and they're only going to probably continue to get better. Paul's numbers, like you said, are comparable to the greats. It's not a crazy comparison to make to the Jazz and the Clippers, because the Clippers, if they got a couple breaks, would have been probably playing in an NBA Finals in the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, exactly. And it's tough for Clipper fans, but let's move on. Move on to the offseason. Addition-wise, like I mentioned, they didn't have a ton of cap space, but they were able to sign some guys on some good deals. Picked up Allen Anderson, Brandon Bass, your boy Raymond Felton.
No, don't do this to me.
Maurice Bates, and they also drafted Bryce Johnson. So which of those guys, they signed is going to make a big impact?
Raymond Felton's probably going to be an all-star this year. He's got a lot of potential. No, I'm kidding. Brandon Bass is a good piece, man. I like his activity. And he, in a winning environment, and when you'll see Griffin and Jordan and all those guys get off the bench. The one thing I do like about the Clippers, they seem to be a very supportive group of each other. The starters really do support the bench, and that's nice to see. But their draft pick was this kid. What was he? What school is he from, or what would they pick up? Who would you say his draft pick?
Bryce Johnson from North Carolina, in the 25th pick in the draft.
Okay. Yeah, he's a solid player. He'll help.
They really don't. They don't do much player development in Los Angeles. A lot of rookies end up not seeing much time, or just end up seeing time on the bench, or move on to the next team.
Yeah, right. Bryce is a good athlete, though.
I thought, they filled out their bench nicely. It always looks like they have a good offseason. Allen Anderson, if he's healthy, he gives them a nice little wing player to have off the bench. Brandon Bass, a solid power forward off the bench. Raymond Felton, if he's in shape and healthy and he's not doing bad things, he can be helpful at times. And Spates obviously is coming from the Warriors, gives him that stretch player that complements DeAndre Jordan or Blake Griffin.
Yeah, I mean, Bryce, like I said, Johnson will be nice. They picked up, like you said, Spates, and Felton's will be a backup for Paul. And Paul's minutes will be down a little bit because he's getting a little older. He's played in the league for 11 years. So they'll expect Felton, who's also been in the league for 11 years, to give them the 15, 20. We don't talk about Crawford enough, but whatever Crawford's diet is, I would like to get in touch with his nutritionist. He's 16 years in the league, and he looks like a 3 or 4 year player. I mean, the way he moves around still is phenomenal. It's an unbelievable combination of whatever he's got going on is working. So he'll still be a punch off the bench.
And Austin Rivers as well.
Yeah, this is the coach's son. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's talk departures. They lost Cole Aldridge, Jeff Harris, Brendan Dawson, Jeff Green, Pablo Prigioni. They traded TJ Wilcox. Jeff Green, they traded for him at the deadline. I think they traded a first-round pick. That trade looks terrible right now. Jeff Green never lived up to any hype that he's ever had in a trade, so they didn't lose much with him other than the first-round pick they lost last year. Aldridge gave him solid minutes off the bench, but he's not irreplaceable. Any departures really stick out to you?
Not really, no. Jeff Green was, like you said, kind of a disappointment at the 3. They'll rely a little bit on Luke what's his name? Mabute? Yeah, they'll rely on Mabute to play the 3 a little bit, but he never really panned out. Prigioni was good defensively. Knick fans know that he picks up full court and stuff, but I mean, Felton you're not really losing much with Felton. So no, they didn't. And listen, they have 4 guys in their team that have been in the league for 11 plus years. Bass, Crawford, Felton, Paul Pierce, and Redick have all been in the league for 10 plus. So this is a veteran group, and they have an opportunity to contend for a title if everything falls into place for them.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned their veteran group. They've been in the league for a long time. This team has one goal, and that's to win a championship.
Yeah.
So, but Clippers, better or worse this season?
Let's see. What was their record last year? 53-29. Slightly better.
Yeah, I'm going to go with better as well.
Yeah, I'm going to say slightly better. I think they could win. I'm going to say they're going to win 55 games.
55. And also you got to figure Blake Griffin's not going to be injured and then punch an assistant trainer and break his hand and miss a ton of games. So I think the Clippers will have a better season. They'll be definitely in contention for that 2 seed. I actually might pick them as my 2 seed. Something's just scaring me about the Spurs, but you never kind of sleep on the Spurs because you always expect them to die down, and they never do.
Yeah, Spurs Clippers will be in that mix for the 2-3. Even to a certain extent the Thunder if everything goes well. But you would think that the Spurs and Clippers are going to be in the fight for the 2-3 all year.
What's your final prediction for this Clipper team?
The 3 seed. I don't think the Spurs will have enough with Leonard and Aldridge to be the 2. So I'm going to say 55-27 and the 3 seed in the Western Conference playoffs.
I'm going to go on the edge, and I'm going to pick them to be the 2 seed. And I'm going to go I don't know. I'm really feeling the Clippers. I don't know who to pick in the playoffs. This is tough. I think they're going to get to the conference finals.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be.
It's about time.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's going to be Warriors, Clippers, and out east. You never know. I think that could be Celtics, Cavs, or something, or even what we talked about before, Raptors, Cavs. But I think it's going to be Clippers, Warriors. I think finally they get there. I don't know if they're going to beat them, but I think they're definitely going to get there.
Yeah, I think things will finally just break the right way for them.
Yeah,
maybe they make a nice move at the deadline or something. I don't know, but if not,
they only have no titles in 47 years. So
yeah, it's about time they get a little lucky.
Yeah, this is one of the most. This is probably the unluckiest franchise in the NBA, or one of the top unluckiest franchises in the NBA. They have a 39 winning percentage in their career, in their franchise history, and they went through a lot of bad years: 12, 17, 21, 30, 31, 17, 17, 15, 27, 28, 23, 19, 29. So this is the first time in a while you said this is a lot better of a franchise than the Lakers right now, and they own that city if they could put it together.
Yeah, very true, because the Lakers are in that rebuilding stage right now. They have probably a few years to catch up to them before those young players they have start budding out. But Clippers need to take advantage of their time. So I'll ask you this.
What they say about those tables, man, they always turn. So everybody will get their shot eventually, and hopefully this is Paul's opportunity to – because I love the Paul Curry matchup too. I like it better than Curry Westbrook. To me, Curry's a lot smarter of a player than Westbrook. So, Westbrook might be more athletic and potentially a better attacker of the rim, but Curry and Paul have it's almost like it's more of a chess match when I think Westbrook's playing checkers sometimes.
Very true. I guess I could see how you might like that matchup a little better. Also, you see more Westbrook more Paul on Curry and Curry on Paul.
Yeah, because Curry doesn't want to guard Westbrook. They'll just put Thompson on Westbrook.
Exactly. So it's more of an actual true matchup.
Yeah.
So you're going to watch the Clippers on League Pass?
Yeah, for sure. This is why League Pass was invented, teams that want to get up and down. This is a regular season team, if you think about it. I mean, they're not really built to win a championship. They need some more help. They need a couple breaks, like I said. And if you want to see a Clippers-Celtics finals, I know the NBA wants to see Warriors-Cavs Part 3. But I don't know if that's going to be realistic or not. But as far as the Clippers making the finals and beating the Golden State, but I will definitely watch this team because you know what they're going to do. They want to be in front of half court at 18 seconds, 19 seconds, and probably score it by 12. The Clippers aren't running the shot clock down, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, and they're a very talented offensive team. Blake Griffin's a top 10 player in this league probably. When he's healthy, and his all-around game is very solid now. He once was just, that athletic freak, but now he added some shooting to his game, playmaking. He can put the ball on the floor, a touch of a post game, and he needs to become a better defender and more consistent rebounder. And, he's on his way to being a very good player. So I'll always keep an eye on the Clippers and Chris Paul.
Yeah, without question. You're going to see a lot of lobs, a lot of dunks. A lot of excitement.
Exactly. And DeAndre Jordan is going to murder somebody like he does every year.
We didn't talk a lot about individual guys as much so far, but you want to talk about JJ Redick and his improvement in the league. He's been much improved, and obviously Paul has helped him. But I think Redick, let's just say in a situation where he went to a bad team, he could get 20 a night on a bad team.
I was waiting for you to bring up Redick. I know you like him. But yeah, he's evolved his game a lot. I think he was the leading scorer in college at his senior year.
Yeah, he was the best player in the country, yeah.
Yeah, and then he came in the league. He struggled a little bit. He started to adjust, but now he's a solid all-around player who's a deadly shooter. I think he was probably top 5 in three-point shooting last season.
Yeah, deadly. And they always look to him in the first quarter. It's very similar to Love in Cleveland. Those are two. They both those guys could shoot. They look to those guys to get going in the first quarter to carry their offense early on.
Yeah, you get those guys hot. You get them easy baskets. It's a long night for the opposition.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, on to the truth. Our emoji for the Clippers. What is it, Harris?
We're gonna go with the 2 fingers up, like when you say peace to somebody, like world peace, or we're
Peace
just saying
out.
like, peace out. Exactly. So I think if Paul doesn't, if this is a bad year for them, if they don't get past the second round again, I think Chris Paul is going to be departing, and I think he might find himself either with the Knicks or Celtics or another team that wants a contending team that wants to go from being good to great and
Spurs. Spurs.
possible because they don't have yet. Very possible. Yep. I think he'll go to a contender that needs a point guard, and like you said, Parker on his way out, Leonard Aldridge, that situation. But then Melo and Porzingis could. I think Melo's good friends with Paul, so I think like, New York could be a strong possibility also.
Yeah, it definitely could. Also, Blake Griffin, I think, has either a free agent or an early termination option. He's been mentioned to have ties to OKC. He played at Oklahoma. But that's another interesting piece.
Yeah,
so
Westbrook and Griffin, oh my goodness.
That'd be so fun. And Victor Oladipo.
That would be explosive.
Exactly. And Adams is ton of fun to watch too. So
yeah, so interesting to see where Paul goes. I think that the peace out emoji is like, hey, if we don't get it done this year, we don't at least get to the conference finals. And listen, the way the whole Durant thing played out, and a lot of GMs have spoke on this, I think if the Thunder got to the finals and lost to the Cavs, it wouldn't have been as much of a punk move by Durant as people are calling it. If he went to the Warriors and he's like, okay, I beat them. Now let me see if I could join them and, at least I beat them. Or if the Warriors had beaten the Cavs and won 2 in a row, I don't know if Durant's going there to mess that chemistry up. So what happens in the playoffs, and I said this before it happened, what happens in the playoffs does dictate where guys go. It's not just like you think that they're talking championships. They are. And it does dictate the momentum of the playoffs does dictate where guys go at the end of their contracts.
Yeah, and you're emotional at that point. After the postseason, it's close to free agency. And you're watching the finals on TV. Next thing you know, you're talking contracts a few weeks later. So, it definitely has an impact on the way people feel and the moves that they make over the summer.
Yeah, I really believe that. And I know this is a little bit off topic of our podcast. I believe if Durant beats the Warriors and then loses to the Cavs, it's not looked at as bad.
I still probably wouldn't.
As bad.
It's still tough because it's like, I guess. But it also looks bad in this sense from like an OKC fan perspective. It's like, we were in the championship, like we just lost. Like,
True.
Come on. Like,
and I also think that if the Warriors had beaten the Cavs, he's not going there. I think you don't go to a team that's won 2 in a row. You just don't do it. I don't think.
Yeah. We don't know his mindset, but I would probably agree with you on that. Like, if he did that, I think the Warriors might be less open about it too, just because they wouldn't want to mess anything up. But now they kind of like, oh, well, let's add some more talent. He's also like, how many times can you be like, let's add one of the top 3 players in the NBA to our team?
Yeah, and that's what the situation that Paul's going to be in. It's like any team that Paul goes to gets dramatically better. Like, Derrick Rose is a nice player, but Chris Paul is
100 times better.
Yeah, it's not even a question. And Paul is just a great leader. He'll bring out the bet. He'll make Porzingis look like, Wilt Chamberlain at times. So
he'll get Porzingis to an All-Star game if he joins the Knicks his first year.
Oh, 100%. Porzingis might do it on his own.
Yeah, no, yeah. I would say he'd be a lock for sure.
Oh, yeah, and Melo, they would have a legitimate big three. A legitimate big three.
Yeah, and then they'd have Noah and Courtney Lee.
Yeah, they would be able to contend with the Cavs if Paul went to New York. I believe that.
Yeah. Oh, also, we'll see how that bench filled out too. But enough about the Knicks. Enough about them.
Yeah. All right. Anyway.
But that wraps it up for the Clippers. Now we're moving on to our top 3 teams. It gets exciting. So thanks everybody for tuning in. Harris, great show, and I'll talk to you soon.
Great. Yeah, and we know it's no secret who those top 3 teams are. You'll find out the order and stay tuned. OTG Basketball on Twitter, Instagram. Love the support. We'll talk to you guys soon.